Motoworld, I'm Dave Despain to tell you the pace is picking up in the world of motorcycle competition. We have more season openers for you this week. A lot of highlights from all over the country and an entertaining look at miniaturized motorcycle racing. We're going to get right to it with Supercross highlights from Saint Petersburg, Florida. We begin with Damon Bradshaw, big star last year, but playing second fiddle in 1991 to Jean-Michel Bayle and Jeff Stanton. And Bradshaw's getting a little tired of that.
They've had some good luck. They haven't had any bad luck yet. I feel that I've had my share of it, and I think it's my turn to have some good luck, you know. Everybody's accompanied some bad luck, and it should be time for those. And I don't wish bad luck on anybody, but, you know, it's my time to start winning.
But Damon's optimism was premature. As he and Jeff Ward chased heat race leader Jeff Stanton, Bradshaw tried a move that earned him a high side crash and a trip to the semifinal, which he won. Bradshaw's crash-itis is contagious. Look at his teammate, Doug Dubach, in the first race back after a long injury layoff. Now, this is one of those slow-mos almost too painful to watch, almost, but not quite. See how the bike gives him one last whack after it's over. In a remarkable display of durability, Doug regrouped and came back to ride the semi. And wouldn't you know it, the guy in front of him single jumps when everybody else is doubling, and Dubach lands on top of him. Another painful crash. This time he's done for the night. Who can blame the doctor for wanting to vent his frustrations on something? Welcome back, Doug Dubach. Onward to the main event and a hole shot for number 11 Bradshaw that looked like it could lead to that long-sought second victory of the season. Behind him, the battle of the series championship rivals, Jean-Michel Bayle, number 8, passing the reigning number 1 Jeff Stanton for second. They do some serious air work. Then Bayle moved up to pressure Bradshaw, who suddenly found himself trapped. There's a fallen rider right in front of him. Damon used his motorcycle for traction, but Bayle needed no more invitation than that to take away the lead. Jean-Michel pulled away, leaving a Stanton-Bradshaw battle for the runner-up spot, a battle which ended rather abruptly when Damon's bike sputtered off the lip of a whoop. The rear wheel came up and all but launched him out of the Suncoast Dome. Here's another look at that unusual incident. Damon wanted power. Instead, it bogged. The front end nosed over. The rear came up, and the engine wouldn't run anymore. Meanwhile, Bayle kept up the pace and left Stanton far behind, claiming his 5th win of the year as that series moves toward its conclusion. On the last lap, Mike Kudrowski made a do-or-die run at Stanton. Jeff takes second. Mike picked himself up for third. Bayle can't get the champagne open, and Kudrowski looks pretty happy for a guy who just crashed. As you look at the results, there's one reason Mike's so pleased. That third-place finish vaults him into third in the standings, while Bradshaw's plunge drops him to 5th. And every day, Stanton's title defense gets a little more difficult. Well, Stanton had 3 major goals this year: to win his 3rd Daytona, which he did, to win his hometown Supercross in Pontiac, Michigan. He'll try to do that this weekend. And number 3, win another Supercross championship. Bayle is clearly going to make Jeff work to complete that ambitious agenda. We move on to the international scene. Sunday's Australian GP road race fell to the reigning world champion, Wayne Rainey, and that's the highlight of this week's Honda scoreboard. Mick Doohan came from last to second, while Rainey's teammate, John Kosinski, was 3rd, Eddie Lawson again 6th on the Cajiva. Chris Carr won everything in sight at the Camel Pro Mile in Sacramento, California. We'll have that complete story in just a moment. And Connecticut teenager Jeff Aaron won the first round of the National Observe Trials Championship. Let's take a look at how it happened. The setting is about the most foreboding of the year, the rocky outcroppings of the Mojave Desert. Mark Manico's a former winner here.
Well, the terrain is really unique because it has so much traction. Most of the places in the United States don't have this much traction. So the sections here tend to be a lot more radical and scary than they are elsewhere in the country.
Ryan Young, owner of 3 straight championships, thinks winning is a head game.
We never saw the section before in our lives, so we do have to park our bikes and walk it thoroughly, frontwards, backwards, looking for all kinds of lines until we figure the best line. And then you have to decide whether you want to be the first one to ride the section or not. So then there's a waiting game. You don't want to show your competitors your line that you think is the best. So it becomes a waiting game, and finally you have to ride. And you try to be as relaxed as you can, but the nerves are so up there that the first 3 sections are pretty difficult until you get relaxed.
Ryan was relaxed and in top form, demonstrating the acrobatics and balance that make trials riding one of the most fascinating forms of motorcycle sport. On the other hand, Manico had met his match.
It's me against the rocks, and if I'm having a good day, I beat all the rocks. If I'm not having such a good day, then the rocks tend to get me. It's just me and the rocks.
One of the concerns about modern-day trials is that increased rider and machine capability means sections have to be more dangerous to be challenging. Young's day came to a bad end on this steep rock face. He took a maximum 5 points. That cost him the hope of a victory. And so his teenage teammate, Jeff Aaron, rose to the occasion. Third ranked last year, growing in skill and experience almost as fast as in height. He's now 6'4" and climbing. This kid is one of the stars of the future in the fascinating sport of trials. Now, coming up on Motoworld, an all-motorcycle drag racing meet in Gainesville, Florida. An action-packed 125cc main event at the Saint Petersburg Supercross. And coming up next, a tight battle on the track and in the standings as the Camel Pro Series gets up to speed in California. We'll be right back. Dirt track champion Scott Parker is out to tie the all-time series record, 4 consecutive titles. Throughout last year's championship battle, Parker's Harley-Davidson teammate Chris Carr kept the pressure on. And at the year-end awards banquet, Chris looked at Scotty with a big grin and warned him, get used to it. Well, Carr showed Parker what he meant last weekend at Series Round 2 in Sacramento, California.
I feel real good. Motorcycles have been running great, and I'm just looking forward to running a nice, smooth 1991 season and stay as consistent as I've been in the past, and hopefully everything will work out for me.
Well, things were certainly working out Saturday night as number 20 Carr broke the track record in qualifying, then grabbed the lead in turn 1 of his heat race and motored away to an easy victory in the night's fastest 10-lap qualifier. Here's number 16, Ronnie Jones. He chased Parker and Carr last year, but won this year's season opener at Daytona, while Parker blew an engine.
The two guys was right there last year, already got a jump on me, but I started out there before, and I think I can pull this thing off. I just go out and put in 100% all year long.
In his heat race, Parker needed this last lap pass on third place Steve Moorhead just to make the main event. In fact, Scotty looked as vulnerable as I've seen him on a mile oval in years. He was certainly no match for Terry Poovey, who drafted by runner-up Ricky Graham to take the win. Let's move on to the first Camel Challenge of the season. Parker got a hole shot, but Carr blitzed by him on the backstretch, held it wide open deep into turn 3, and then motored away to win a cool $10,000 for 2.5 minutes work. And believe me, nothing bugs the penny-pinching Parker more than seeing somebody else take those big camel checks. As the first mile main event of the 91 season got underway, Poovey and Jones jumped out front with Carr third, Parker fourth. Within a few laps, number 23, Kevin Atherton had the lead, but Jones and Carr caught Kevin by working the draft together. And when the three of them got to racing side by side in the corners, it slowed them enough that Parker was able to run them down. Ohio teenager Larry Pegram came with the champion. They left Atherton behind, and it was a 4-man battle in the final lap. Carr had the stuff where it counted. All night long, he'd been best getting into turn 3. The money lap was no exception. Jones and Parker tried but failed to draft Chris in the madcap run to the checkered flag. It was Carr who claimed his third career win here. Fast time, track record, Camel Challenge, and main event. But keep an eye on that flag for the only flaw in a perfect night. After splitting the first 2 races of the season, Carr and Jones are tied for the lead. Parker back in 5th with a lot of catching up to do. Actually, Carr had a fair amount of trouble after the race. Couldn't get the champagne bottle open. And so Parker took the opportunity to present the victory flowers. Jones held the trophy. Everybody waited patiently until Chris made it official.
That was one heck of a race, man. I'm just proud as heck to be on top of the box with 2 fine competitors, such as Scott Parker and Ronnie Jones standing next to me here. It's a great town, great fans, great race, and I had a great night.
Great night and a great season thus far for Chris Carr. 15 races to go to decide the championship. You'll see 10 of those here on ESPN. Now, if you're interested in a career as a motorcycle technician, get yourself a pen and a paper. Motorcycle Mechanics Institute is going to award one lucky Motoworld viewer a free scholarship to their 27-week motorcycle technician career program. Winner of that scholarship will have his or her choice of attending either the Phoenix, Arizona or Orlando, Florida facility. Scholarship valued at approximately $5,000. It's a perfect way to enter the exciting and rewarding field of motorcycle mechanics. And for more information on the free scholarship offer, All you got to do is call 1-800-225-1234. Operators standing by 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Please, serious inquiries only. That number again for the free Motorcycle Mechanics Institute Scholarship, 1-800-225-1234. The offer will end June 7th. The winner will be announced right here on June the 21st. Now, when we come back, another great race at the Suncoast Dome in Florida and the surprise of the 91 Supercross Series. Cross action, the 125 race in Saint Petersburg was a real dogfight, and Chris Larson is here to tell us who won.
An upset was in the making as the heroes of the Supercross support class launched themselves into Turn 1 at the Suncoast Dome. None of the frontrunners had ever won a Supercross, and number 483, Mike Brown, seemed determined to do just that. In fact, he threatened to make it a runaway. More exciting for the fans was this battle for second between number 46, Eric McClear of Romeo, Michigan, and number 36, Grayson Goodman of Plano, Texas. That tussle got downright serious as Goodman grabbed the runner-up spot, and since no one told him that leader Brown was invincible, he proceeded to run him down, pass him in the air and on the outside, and take over the lead. To further discomfort the fading Brown, number 25, Jeremy Buell, immediately jumped on him as well. Piloting the Peak antifreeze-sponsored Honda, the London, Ohio Charger kept the pressure on until he finally found a place to pass and took over the runner-up spot. Now, we'll slow this down to give you a good look. Once Buell had momentum and he had figured out this high bank switchback, he was able to go all the way to the lead with a picture book block pass on Goodman. Meanwhile, series leader Brian Swink was recovering from a bad start and heading to the front. Watch this pass on Talon Boland. And here's Boland's retaliation that just about left him standing on his head. With a great come-from-behind ride, Swink worked all the way back to third. And here's Jeremy Buell styling to his very first career Supercross win and thoroughly enjoying the champagne that goes with it. However, Swink maintains a healthy point lead. Reporting from Motoworld, I'm Chris Larson.
Thank you, Chris. Perhaps the biggest surprise of the 91 Supercross season has been the performance of Mike Fisher. He's gone from Mike Who to frequent frontrunner, and Art Ekman tells us the reason why.
For the first time in a long time, there's a European motorcycle to be reckoned with in American motocross. The brand is KTM, and the team rider Mike Fisher says the team's for real.
I think they're trying to move into Supercross a little bit because there is a big market there, and they seem, I mean, with the effort that they're putting in, it's incredible really how they're doing it, and it's really good, and I think nobody really expected these good results, but you know, we're all pumped and ready to go for higher results even now.
That's a major pump for Fisher, who spent last year on a Kawasaki support bike, often testing components for the real factory riders. By every measure, his KTM deal is a full-fledged factory ride, but even he is surprised at the results.
I don't know what I expected. I felt real good in practice all until the first Supercross, and I knew I was riding real fast, but I didn't really know exactly how fast. You know, I mean, everybody's improving every year, and I just found a little niche that I got into, and now I feel really good. I don't know. I think it's just a lot of confidence I have in the bike. I feel really, really comfortable on it. I think, you know, I mean, I don't think there's any. I don't think it's all the bike. I think the bike is good, but I think I'm feeling really confident on it, and that's the biggest thing.
In the outdoor nationals, other riders occasionally use Mike's KTM for traction. But with this week's return to the Supercross Wars in Tampa Stadium, Fisher sees himself as a potential winner.
I think it's possible, yeah. I think I'm looking for top 3 finishes right now. Hopefully I'll win one after that, but I think top 3 is my goal.
For Motoworld, I'm Art Ekman.
All right, thank you, Art, and continued good luck to Mike. And a special hello to all of you out in California where the recent rain and snow have been a blessing, ending that long drought. But the weather has played havoc with the motorcycle calendar, and we're going to tell you about the latest shuffle after this timeout. Stay with us. California 500 was snowed out last weekend. That was scheduled to be the opening round of the AMA Suzuki National Dual Sport Series. Unfortunately, the snow is still 5 feet deep in some of the mountain passes that run was scheduled to traverse. A portion of the weekend's program was held in lower elevations, dual sport demo rides hosted by American Suzuki.
FT Forrestal, right here.
That's 6-day star Charlie Halcomb checking in participants. Of course, a dirt bike is no fun in a parking lot, so these folks immediately headed for the trails. Getting there is easy because the bikes are street legal. And once you hit the dirt, the fun really begins.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We even got to go through some water and splash each other, so it was really a lot of fun. I work with a fellow who rides quite a bit at dual sport events, and he's always bragging about how much fun it is. I have a Moto Guzzi road bike. I've never done this before, and it's just too much fun to explain. I mean, it makes you want to go out and buy one.
All this fun took place along the fire roads of Cajon Pass, which climbs over the mountain range encircling the Los Angeles basin. And on their return, these dual sport riders had a single purpose in mind: to eat. So you'll know the California 500 has been rescheduled. It'll run April 27th and 28th, assuming the snow melts. Now, for the second week in a row, the motorcycle drag racing action was at Gainesville, Florida. The NHRA series ran there 2 weeks ago. The Pro Star campaign moved in last week, but the stars remained the same. Mark Phillips reports.
Dave Schultz is 2 for 2 in NHRA Pro Stock Finals this year to lead that series over reigning champion John Myers. At Gainesville, Florida last weekend, Myers hoped to avenge his loss in the previous weekend's Gator Nationals.
It's going to be the same thing. I'm going to have to cut a light on it. So I had an advantage on the starting line last weekend, but it just wasn't enough.
Six-time Pro Stock champ Schultz, now riding for Vance and Hines, makes his racing a family effort. His wife Meredith is his crew chief. George Bryce of Star Racing is the man behind Myers' horsepower, and those two got a break Sunday when fast qualifier Schultz found himself in a major thrash right there in the staging area.
We had a real simple thing. A starter nut came off, and we were able to get the starter nut back on with a pair of ice grips, but I may have damaged it at that point because I do my burnout in third gear, and I was prepared to do that. And putting the starter nut on, we had the brakes locked, letting the transmission hold so we could tighten it up. And we may have bent something on the third gear because that's what happened on the run. Third gear blew apart.
And as any drag racer can tell you, once third gear blows apart, you're out of business. Myers wins handily to take the Pro Star Series lead. In the Top Fuel Harley-Davidson final, Bill Furr squared off against Jim McClure of Williamsburg, Virginia. Watch closely, and you'll see Furr in the right lane leave a split second earlier, but that lead lasted about 30 feet. McClure romps past to win that one with ease. And finally, the Top Fuel Bike final. Larry McBride, who came roaring and snorting to the line, was soundly beaten by Tony Lang, but then was declared the winner. This is bracket racing, and Lang, who wheelied the length of a drag strip, ran too quick, broke his bracket time, and was disqualified. McBride figured he'd take it any way he could. For Motoworld, I'm Mark Phillips.
Thank you, Mark. I confess I have a soft spot for oddball motorsports, and we're going to show you one of those when Motoworld continues. Keep it right here on ESPN. Welcome back. For our next report, we're going to take you to a go-kart track in Southern California. And what, you may wonder, does that have to do with motorcycling? Here's a pretty typical Sunday afternoon racetrack scene. A helmeted hero ready to saddle up his machine and ride it into the crucible of competition. But in this case, Vince's valiant steed is a Vespa motor scooter, and therein lies a story. Vince Chu of Las Vegas is a member of the 2-year-old American Scooter Racing Association. He's pitted right next to the potent Vespa Super Shop team from San Diego. Now, if you've never seen it before, prepare to be impressed with scooter racing. Kenny Roberts, eat your heart out. Check out the drafting and the fierce competition on the brakes. How about that knee-out style and the quick flick to change direction? And the acceleration is awesome. Almost. Number 1 is Matt Dawson.
Basically, I like it because it's different. Not a lot of people doing it. It's fun, and since the things were made basically back in the 60s, they were designed, the technology is pretty much lower, but that's what's fun because you have to modify them a lot and do it all yourself. So it's not like just going down to the store and buying some stuff and bolting it on. You know, you got to think about it, you got to figure some stuff out, do the tuning yourself, and that's another thing that attracts me to it, you know.
Riding styles vary, as does equipment, in 7 classes with engines from 125 to 250 cc. That makes the scooters big motors compared to these little guys. If you want the look and feel of a Grand Prix, you'll really like the YSR division. This is real motorcycle racing, complete with low-side slide-outs and rear-enders. The beauty of this class is that the engines are only 50 cc's and the speeds are modest, so injuries are rare. Whether in the scooter class or the YSR League, two-wheeled competition is still the big attraction, the opportunity to test the limit of modest motors and tiny tires. Who knows what the future may hold in the way of miniaturized motorcycle racing. But no matter how small your machine, that checkered flag will always be a big thrill. And with that, we're out of time. We're going to leave you with a reminder that those free motocross posters are going fast at a motorcycle shop near you. It's the Top Guns of Motocross salute to our armed forces around the world. Get one now, and remember you heard about it on Motoworld. Looking ahead to next week, we're going to let you know whether Jeff Stanton succeeds in winning his home Supercross at the Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan. And we'll have a weekend of WERA road racing and a look at vintage motorcycling. Be sure and join us at the same time next week. Until then, I'm Dave Despain. Thanks for being here, and so